Are you at work, Linda?
No. Names and faces. Oh, how lovely. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Afternoon Tea. I am Dr. Erica, a GP from the West Midlands, and I'm here with Linda, Dr. Linda, my lovely co-host. She's an emergency medicine doctor from Sheffield, and we're also both lifestyle medicine doctors. Do let us know where you're joining in from in the chat, and what brought you here today?
Hello. Welcome, everyone. It's lovely to see all of your names popping up again. Hi, Graham. Hi, Ulrich. Hi, Saket. Well, if you are new to us, we are hosting Afternoon Tea every Sunday, of course, at 5 p.m. UK time, where you can connect with world-renowned lifestyle medicine experts. And we share 3 actionable takeaways that you can implement in your life right away to start beating modern lifestyle diseases. You can chat directly with our guest experts and our amazing patients like today to Jimmy here on Zoom, or you can also join us on live stream via Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're ready for implementing your health goals, join our free membership on our website to be part of our supportive community to learn and implement evidence-based health lifestyle habits to help you gain health to live a long and fulfilling life.
And in the last 2 months, we have had incredible speakers on Afternoon Tea talking about all things heart disease and diabetes. And today we've got a treat for you, and we've got Jimmy Quinn join us here to share his inspirational journey after being diagnosed with heart disease and angina just in his 30s, I believe. Yep. It all started in your 30s, didn't it? Welcome, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Welcome. So nice to see you, Jimmy.
Wow, somebody here from California.
Yes, you're global. Hi, Beverly. Welcome, Jimmy. We heard a little bit about your story and read it on Plant-Based Health Professionals, which inspired us to invite you to our platform to share this incredible and inspiring and empowering story of hope. Do you tell us a little bit how it all started?
Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It all started out with a virus. One Christmas I had a virus. I was ill for a few weeks, and the virus, I recovered from that, but then I could feel my health deteriorating, my fitness. I was pretty fit at the time, physically fit. I used to do a lot of exercise, used to walk my dog for 2 hours a day, go swimming 3 times a week, play football, basketball, badminton. And I felt my health deteriorating, my fitness, to about August.
And how old were you at the time, Jimmy?
I think I was 31, something like that. 32, something like that.
Really quite young.
No, it was a bit older than that. 34 or 35. I didn't start my IT career till I was 32, and I was in IT then. Yeah. So, yeah. I obviously sought medical advice, and my GP said, you're too young to have heart disease, so they tested for everything else. I had cameras everywhere. And eventually decided it must be heart disease, so he sent me to a cardiologist who sent me for an angiogram, and they found 3 blocked arteries, or 3 seriously blocked arteries.
At age 34, is
Yeah.
that right? Amazing.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
we have to look how I got there.
That's
I've been vegetarian from being 18, and most of the food I ate was eggs and cheese based, right, and butter. So I can laugh now, but the amount of butter, I used to go through blocks of cheese in a week and something like 18 eggs a week. My toast was always dripping in butter. So it's now you're looking. I mean, we didn't know then. Be fair to me. Be fair. Back then, we didn't know that what you ate blocked your arteries up. I don't know why, but yeah, that's what the start of it all.
And it's also very hard when I was a vegetarian in university as well, and I didn't know anything about diet. But because I went vegetarian but didn't know how to cook plants, it became really difficult to cook something up quickly. So I also reached out to eggs and cheese and a lot of dairy, a lot of yogurts, because they're easy to eat, high in caloric density, you feel full from them, right?
Yeah. Well, we bought not long after we got married. Irene's always been vegetarian. She just doesn't like meat, so lucky that way. We bought some cookery books from the Vegetarian Society, and they were full of recipes, but most of them had cheese or eggs in. So that's what we were living off. But so I just like interject this food for thought. One of the first books we bought, in the foreword, the author was saying that her friend took a year out. This is back in 1970s. Not many people did it then. So she took a year out and she set off around the world, and she took with her a bag of brown rice and a bag of lentils. And she virtually lived off rice and lentils for a year. And when she got back, she had a medical, and the doctor found her health was perfect. So yes, we need to sort this diet out, but I don't think we need to be too strict with ourselves. I think there's room, there's there's room for manoeuvre within it. So yeah, as long as you eat plenty of rice and lentils. Yeah.
So what was the first time that you thought that it was a heart disease? What gave it away? What symptoms did you have?
Angina.
And what is angina in your own terms, from a patient point of view? What did you
pain
feel?
in your chest, right in the middle of your chest here, a pain emanating from there, and it stops you in your tracks.
And Jimmy,
and I knew about this because my dad had angina. My dad died of a heart attack, and his mum had angina.
And how old were they when they, sorry to hear, passed away?
She was 93, and she didn't die of heart disease. She died of cancer, 93. My dad was 59. He was just about to retire. I think it was 3 weeks before he retired, or something like. It wasn't long before he retired that he went. That was he worked in a hospital, and he had a massive heart attack at work. So they thought they got him in time, but they phoned my mum and told her, don't come rushing to hospital now because we've got him sedated. Come tomorrow and we'll have him sorted for you. But when she went in the morning, he'd passed away in the night.
Oh gosh! And did Dad have any symptoms beforehand?
Oh, he'd been having angina for years.
Right.
Since his 40s.
Right. So it does run in the family, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you see, again, he was a sportsman. He used to cycle. What would it be? 10 or 15 miles to work every day, up and down hills. He played rugby. Did all sorts of sports. it's a very sporty family. Just we're prone to heart disease.
And may I ask, what was your parents' diet? Because we often say that diseases run in families because
the diet runs in families.
So do the kitchens as well. And but you said you were vegetarian, and what
At 18 I turned vegetarian. At home, it was lots of bread, the cheapest cuts of meat that were all fat, and like we used to have shoulder of lamb for most Sunday dinners, and it was so fatty. And there was I can't remember what it was called. There was someone she used to get sometimes, and it was like a lamb's ribs, and it was all fat. There was no meat on it at all. So I mean, I'm saying Irene was vegetarian because she didn't eat meat. I was heading that way anyway. I used my brother. There's 6 kids in our family, so my brothers and sisters, I used to swap my meat for their cabbage. But there again, it was cheese, eggs, and toast. Well, buttered toast.
But for you, what motivated you to be vegetarian, Jimmy?
The cruelty.
Right.
Well, firstly, there were not that many cuts of meat that I actually enjoyed. Very few. And the cruelty to animals. That age, I was already a member of Whale and Dolphin Conservation Society and Greenpeace and Friends of the Earth and Amnesty. It was just all part of my whole ethos for life. We didn't need all this killing going on. I didn't know the cruelty that was involved in milk production and cheese and eggs. I just thought chickens wandered around and laid eggs and somebody picked them up. I didn't know they were in batteries. Well, I suppose back in the 1970s they wouldn't have been in batteries, would they? We hadn't invented batteries then. Yeah. So our diet was pretty terrible.
So your diet was consisting from age 18 mainly eggs, cheese, butter, cream, and yogurts. And
not cream and yogurts.
No,
didn't
just
eat them. No, but I ate a lot of vegetables as well. I've always eaten a lot, and for most of my life, I've been built like a racing snake. So eating a lot, I must have a fast metabolism or something. So yeah, I've always eaten. I mean, even now I eat tons of food. And
may I ask you, Jimmy, at 34, when you were diagnosed with 3 arteries being blocked, what happened before that in the hospital? How were you hospitalized? Was it an emergency or was it an elective case after your angiogram was done?
What happened? I had the first angiogram, and my doctor said that my cardiologist said he didn't want to go any further with it because I was too young, in his words, too young to do anything. So he said he'd wait while something happened. And I said, well, by something happens, do you mean heart attack? And he said, yeah. And at that time, I don't know whether it's got any better, but about 30% of people didn't survive the first heart attack. So like that was woof. And then it was a few years afterwards. The medication, I was on medication, and I coped with it for a few years.
And what medications did he start you on?
Basically, beta blockers, statins.
You had a calcium channel blocker as well,
calcium
didn't you?
channel blocker, yeah. And there was I seem to remember being on half Inderal at some time, but I think they stopped prescribing them now. So, but all I got, they didn't do anything. I just got a load of side effects.
And what side effects did you get, Jimmy?
Oh, all sorts. Painful knees, rashes. The funniest one, this was caused by the statins. I only found this out because as I come off them later on, I was down to just the statins and the clopidogrel, and we went on a cruise for our 40th wedding anniversary, and one of the possible side effects of statins is disturbed sleep. I was sleepwalking, so we're on this cruise. Went to see Norway, and on this cruise, and one night I wake up, I'm outside the cabin in my underpants. Apparently, and Irene's in the cabin panicking. Apparently, I'd just sort of got up and walked out of the cabin and been wandering all over the ship in my underpants. So, yeah, other symptoms were things like fatigue, tiredness. Once over, I was driving on the motorway. I was going to see my doctor at the time, actually, and I fell asleep driving and wound up on the grass verge. So lucky to be alive. So, yeah, at that point, when I got to my doctors, I told her, I said, look, right, I'm not taking these anymore. I'm going to get me killed. And her response was, well, if you'll live longer if you take these. And so I said, to do what? To sit dribbling in a nursing home? No, thank you. So I stopped taking them, and it was like 2016 when I had to go back on them. After the doctor found my blood pressure was through the roof.
So if you take us back a little bit to when you were 40, then when you were still on all those medications, and you had that horrible episode of pain in your chest, and can you tell the audience that's the story of what happened there?
Oh, yeah. Right. How that came about was my youngest daughter had been run over and had her legs broken, one of her legs broken, and because she was a dancer, one of her hobbies, she was only 12, 13, but one of her hobbies was dancing, and she used to spend all day Saturday in dancing classes, so her leg muscles were very strong. So when she had this broken leg, they put the plaster on and her muscles had collapse a bit, and so the plaster would be wobbling, so they'd have to take the plaster off, reset her leg, put the plaster back on, and her leg would slim down more. So we're going through this. I'd taken her to the hospital to have her leg broken yet again, and on the way back I started with a pain in my chest. So my wife's a pharmacy technician, so I phoned her at work and asked her what I should do, and she said take another GTN and phone an ambulance. So I did that, phoned the ambulance, and they didn't turn up. So after about an hour, she phoned up and said, what are you still doing there? So I said, well, the ambulance hasn't turned up. So she drove home and took me to the hospital. And they, first of all, took me in A&E, had a look at me. My blood pressure was, they didn't tell me what the numbers were, but they said my blood pressure was way too low. So they put me in the assessment unit, where they wired me up to what was then a fairly new monitor. It had 4 or 5 lines on it. Previously, when I'd seen these things, it was 1 monitor per line. So they had this new monitor with all these lines on it. And this junior doctor told the nurse to put me on a GTN drip. And she said his blood pressure's already too low. And 3 times she asked him, are you sure? And he kept saying, yeah. So she put me on the GTN drip, and seconds later, I'm gone. And I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel, but more to the point, I didn't see any fires. So anyway, the next thing I know, I hear this voice saying, it's okay, we've got you. It's okay, we've got you. And she said it 3 or 4 times. And I opened my eyes, and there was another doctor there, obviously a more senior doctor, and she asked me my name, address, date of birth, these sorts of things. And when she determined I was all right, she took the junior doctor away for a chat somewhere. And my ribs were sore, but the fella in the next bed said, you were nearly a goner there, mate. They had to jump start you. That means, the defibrillator. So once they settled me down, everything had calmed down, they took me to the coronary care unit. Yeah, when I got in there, it was sort of tea time, and I hadn't eaten anything since breakfast, and all the most of the staff had gone home. There was just like the night staff on, and there was orderly or auxiliary nurse or something like that. She was little Irish woman, and she said to me, have you eaten today? I said, not since breakfast time. She says, well, she said, we haven't got any food here. She says, but I can make you some toast. I said, okay then, yes. So she made me some toast. Well, being Irish, she brought the toast. It's absolutely dripping in butter in the coronary care unit. Anyway, so yeah, so my heart rate is normally in the low 50s because I'm keep myself fit. So I'm lying in the bed there, I'm wired up to everything, and as I start going to sleep, my heart rate goes below 40 beats a minute, and it sets all the alarms off. And I can hear people in the beds going, oh, thinking it's them. So they turned my monitor off. Well, I'm in the coronary care unit for a reason, so no sleep for me that night. So I just couldn't let myself go to sleep. So anyway, the next day they put me in an ordinary ward, but that was even worse for getting to sleep. It was a massive ward. I think there were 20 or 30 men on it. It was an awful place. Anyway, eventually I got out and I went to see the cardiologist, and he said, right, we better do something. So that's when I went to have the bypass surgery. But at the time, they said he said you need immediate bypass surgery. There's a 2-year waiting list. And luckily, I had medical insurance through the company I work for. And same company as I'm working for now, actually. I've gone back 20 years later. So luckily, I had health insurance, so they got me in within a few weeks. And yeah, 4 bypasses. I was in hospital for a week, came out, and it's an amazing experience from being fit. You're coming out of hospital in a situation like that, you've got to learn how to do everything again. Like everything tires you out, just simple things. Going for a walk for 5 minutes. They said, go for a walk for 1 week. You walk 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back. And then the next week, 10 minutes out, 10 minutes back. And I was doing that. And I'd do that in the morning and sleep all afternoon. Shattered. And things like going seeing family, people you can relax with. You go see your family. An hour, shattered. It's like having to learn to do everything over again. It's amazing.
And what did your cardiologist say to you after your operation?
Oh, he said I was going to be back in 5 years for some more. And he was a really nice bloke, actually. He gave me his home phone number, and he said, if any problems, ring me. He said, don't worry, ring me, any problem. But he said he had he had the operating theatre at the Alexandra Hospital in Cheadle 6 days a week, and 1 day a week he had the operating theatre at Manchester Royal Infirmary. So they did as many bypasses as they could there, and then the other 6 days a week he worked at a private hospital. And talking to him, he said his whole reason for doing this was he wanted to get as many people bypass, as many people. He wants to do the surgery for as many people as possible, to help as many people as possible. So he's working 7 days a week. Amazing. And yeah, we had a really good talk.
Did the cardiologist, it sounds like a wonderful doctor, did he at any point talk to you about the possibility of doing something else other than surgery and medication for your heart disease?
No, there wasn't anything. Well, they were just, at the time, they just started doing stents, but they weren't mentioned. In fact, the cardiologist I saw at the outpatients. I mentioned stents to him, and he'd never heard of them. Well, you're in a situation, you're ill, you keep as well informed as you can. So, and he was that busy. I mean, him, another one, brilliant fella. He was coming in. He was going into the hospital to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. He's doing his rounds, going seeing patients and all that lot. And about 10 o'clock at night, he'd be back in again, and he'd be going around seeing everybody. His whole life was spent at work, and amazing.
And I wondered if you've heard of a quote from the pioneer of bypass surgery, Dr. Rene Favaloro, I think, and he said that he has always emphasized that bypass surgery is only a palliative treatment. And yeah, but
that's how I've always treated it. It saved me life. And it doesn't put you back to square one.
No,
it saved me life.
Yeah,
and gave you a second chance. And it does sound like he was a wonderful cardiologist who has worked all week, every day of the week, who wanted to improve people's lives. And just curious, as it was his expertise, besides stents, did he advise you on any lifestyle changes or diet changes that you could take on to prevent the next heart attack, the inevitable next heart attack in 5 years' time? Because we know it's going to happen again. If the food continues on, the vessels will block up again.
Yeah, well, we know that now. Back then, we didn't know that. We hadn't made the link between eating a rubbish diet and getting heart disease. That link wasn't there then. So this is new stuff, linking your health to what you eat. I know it came out in China. When was the China study done? That was
1970s.
Yeah. So it only takes 30, 40 years for things to get to the UK.
Yeah.
And can I ask you, Jimmy, whenever we see patients after a heart attack or a bypass, even a stent, you described that your lifestyle changed quite a lot. You could only walk 10 meters, 10 minutes, then a little bit longer, 20 and 30. How did it affect your mental health?
I think a lot of the time I was in shock. I think I don't think I reacted to it at all, really, because I was just in shock that this had happened to me. I had counselling afterwards. The company, I went to see the company doctor, and he said, you've been through traumatic experience here. How about having some counselling? And so I let him arrange it. I went to see this counsellor in Manchester, and we had 3 sessions. And basically, he said, you've got this attitude to life where something happens and you pick yourself up, you dust yourself down, and you carry on. He said, and it seems to be working for you. So it don't work for everybody, but it seems to be working for you. So, yeah. So I stopped having the counselling, and that's how I do things.
And then fast forward a bit to 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
You changed your lifestyle again.
Yeah.
In terms of your diet.
Yeah. We have to start this bit with Australian flu. Every episode of heart disease has started with a virus. Of mine, every episode of mine has started with a virus. And it's coming out now with the COVID thing, people having blood clots caused by the virus, and they started saying it was caused by the vaccines, but it's not. They then found out it's caused by the virus, blood clots. So 2017, I had this Australian flu, and while I had that, I had I think I'd just gone back to work, and I was working in a call centre, and I finished a call and I was typing up the notes, and I thought my vision had gone funny. So I shut one eye, shut my left eye, and it was fine. My right eye was fine. So I shut my right eye, and my left eye was completely blank. So I went and told my manager, so I've gone blind in my left eye. He was like, what? So I went home, went to my doctor's, and it just so happens that the doctor who was in that day in the surgery was an ophthalmologist. So she had a look at it, and she sent me to the eye clinic at the local hospital straight away. But by the time I got there, the doctor examined me, said if they got there sooner, they might have been able to save me eye, save me sight in the eye, but it just took too long. But now I've only got peripheral vision in that eye. So if I shut my right eye, there's a big blob there that I can't see on the screen. Again, I survived. So you have to look on the bright side. You have to look on the positives. You know, if that had been, it was in my eye, if that had been an inch further back, that would have been in my brain, that could have been me gone. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you have to take the positives. So after that, my doctor kept having to go and see my doctor. He wanted to keep his eye on me because my blood pressure was up. And I took my blood pressure monitor into work and took it a few times a day at work. It was always high at work. And I don't know why, because I didn't find the job stressful. And I really enjoyed it. I loved doing the job. Basically, people phoning up, they want some help. So you do what you can to help them. You know, there's no stress in that. Anyway, but he said to me, your blood pressure's too high. I don't want you working with your blood pressure that high. It's just going to ask for further things to happen. So I took early retirement.
And sorry, Jamie, what was your blood pressure?
It was around the 200 over 100 mark. So I had a load of tests then at the hospital. They wanted to find out what had caused this occlusion in my eye. So I had a lot of tests, and they did some sort of a scan on my chest, and it turns out, you can't see, can you? My left carotid artery here was blocked. So we went to get all the results with the car to see the cardiologist, and he said, your left carotid artery is blocked. We can't operate, because if we operate on that artery and something dislodges, that could lead to a stroke. That could be you gone. He said, your chances of surviving without the operation are better than your chances of surviving with it, or better than your chances of surviving it. So we can't do anything. So I came out of there, me and the wife came out of there, and more or less at the same time we said to each other, that's it, and just waiting to die. So lowest point in my life. So I moped around for a week or so, for a bit, and I decided, no, I'm not having that. Let's see if we can do some. Let's see what we can do ourselves. Let's see if we can do anything.
Before we go into that, can I just clarify what happened to your eye for our guests exactly? What caused you to lose your vision?
It was an occlusion. It was a blood clot. A blood vessel in my eye burst. So the whole mass of the cones have died. So that vision is never going to come back. Although I will say this, I'm watching these studies on stem cells. They try and stem cell transplants. So they take stem cells out of your good eye and put them in your bad eye, and tests so far they're growing back. So I'm watching that with interest.
So that's one of the problems that can happen with a high blood pressure.
Yeah. Well, they think it was a clot moving around.
So it was either aneurysm, so either a vessel rupture due to a high blood pressure, or possibly it could have been also what our guess might think of as a stroke, but in one of the vessels that actually affects the eye.
Yeah. So it would be a couple of weeks after that cardiologist appointment. Our eldest daughter phoned us up and said she'd been watching some films. She'd watching What the Health and Forks Over Knives. And What the Health is mostly about cruelty to animals involved in farming. Oh, that's what I got out of it. And the Forks Over Knives is amazing. It's it's about a study of 800,000 Chinese people and what they eat and what diseases they get, and alternatively what they don't eat and what diseases they don't get. And it's called the China study. It's based on a study, the China study, and some American doctors helped with that. They weren't in charge of it. Some American doctors helped, but they took that information back with them over to America and started helping people through diet. And basically, the study showed that the less animal products you eat, the less diseases you get. And the more animal products you consume, the more diseases you get. So these doctors, Dr. Esseltyn's one of them. I think he's been on here, hasn't he? They took this back over to America and they started treating people, as in get them on a whole food plant-based diet, cut out all the animal products, and cut out the salt, cut out the added sugars, cut out the oils, because the oils, we keep being told that olive oil's healthy. No, olives are the whole food. Olive oil is the olives with the good stuff thrown away. It's just fat. Oh, we don't need that. We need some fat, but we don't need it in them concentrations. What you need is to eat the olives and get the oils with all the good stuff with it that your body can deal with. So, yeah, and it's an amazing film. And the thing that got me about it was there's a man in there. At the start of the film, he had 27 diseases. And going on a whole food plant-based diet for 6 months, he was down to 1 disease. And it was just like, wow. So we're doing this. So we went whole food, 1st of March 2018, we went whole food plant-based. We bought Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die. We read it. This is funny. We read the book and we made notes. And when he goes through all the foods, the part where he goes through all the foods, like all the cruciferous vegetables, and tell you which one are the best, we made a note of which one are the best of each category. And one of the first meals we invented, we called it Super Stew. And it was all these best foods you can get in each category in a stew. And we used that as a base for everything. So it was a base for all we had to do. If you want to turn it into a curry, put curry powder in and tamarind paste and things. You want to make it into a chili powder. You want to make it into a pasta dish, tomatoes, tomato puree, oregano, basil. So we pretty much lived off that for a while, and then we branched out more. And
Jimmy, I must ask, what was in that pot?
Oh, good grief, it's a long time ago now. Onions, carrots, broccoli. Hang on. I'm trying to remember. We've got the recipe here. Here we go.
Was it tasty, Jimmy?
Well, it was, because we made it tasty. We put stuff in it to make it tasty. Here we are, Super Stew. Right. So
I love how you've written the recipe.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well,
maybe you can share the recipe with our guests.
I can do, yeah. I don't know how to do it. Right. So if anybody's got a pen, I can send it to people. 1,500 ml of vegetable stock or water. Now, the vegetable stock we use, the stock cubes we use, are 0.005% salt. So there's virtually no salt in them. So there's at least 1 tin of tomatoes or cartons of passata, 4 heaped teaspoons of turmeric, 4 heaped teaspoons of mixed herbs, 3 tablespoons of savoury spice blend. This is from the How Not to Die cookbook. 2 tablespoons of ground linseeds, 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 4 tablespoons of miso paste, 2 onions, 2 cloves of garlic, any other vegetables you fancy or have left in the fridge. Sort of put on here. We tend to use black kale because that is the best of the green veg. We had a big bag of frozen broccoli, a big bag of frozen mixed vegetables, which are cauliflower, carrots and peas, a bag of mixed peppers, that's frozen mixed peppers, any other veg that you want to put in. For example, sometimes we put sweet corn in, 400 grams of kidney beans, 400 grams of chickpeas, 400 grams of lentils.
Wow.
And yeah.
And delicious.
I see why you called it super stew.
Yeah.
I think where people make mistakes and restaurants make mistakes when they make a plant-based dish is that they give you a carrot, a small potato, and a bit of rice, and people think this is a plant-based dish, but actually it's not even close to how much we eat, isn't it?
It's not. No.
It's
that recipe made 12 portions, so we used to put them in the freezer, and whenever we were going to use it, we didn't use it every day. I think we used it every other day, and in between we'd have something else, like say a pasta dish or a chili or a Thai curry or something.
And within weeks of being on this whole food plant-based diet, your wife was able to actually go to your daughter's house and sit inside the house. What happened?
Yeah, well, prior to that, if she spent, our daughter has 2 cats. Our youngest daughter has 2 cats, mainly because her husband won't let her have a dog, because she was brought up with a dog. So she wound up with 2 cats. And my wife, allergic to cats. Well, she was allergic to everything. She had tests. She was allergic to everything, basically. House dust mites, pollen, dust, anything. So anyway, we went to see our daughter when she moved into a new house, and the cats were there. The cats were just in the house. They weren't in the room. They were just in the house. And after about an hour, her eyes started streaming and sneezing and everything. We had to leave. So the only time we could go and see her was summer, when we could sit outside away from the cats. Anyway, just after a few weeks after we went on the diet, this would be April. So you're talking a peak time for pollen and things. And she had no hay fever whatsoever. None. Whereas, before that, every year she was plagued with it. So we went to see our Lindsay and sat in the house and see how she went on, and she was fine. So yeah, and the only I was just talking to Erica before, the only thing we've had trouble with recently is our eldest daughter. She has an old smelly dog. Well, she's smelly because she's old, so she's got these plug-in air fresheners all over the house, and that Irene was uncomfortable with that. She didn't have an asthma attack or anything like that, and she didn't like it. It's making her nose run and things. So yeah, she's chuffed to bits. It's sorted a lot of that out. Incidentally, our eldest daughter, like I said, she's going whole food plant-based. She's been vegan. In fact, I think she went vegan before us. Her youngest son has had trouble with eczema and catarrh. He was all the time like that, clearing catarrh out his throat. So she knocked all the dairy products off. He's not having any dairy products at all now, and his catarrh's cleared up, and his eczema's cleared up. So
that's just incredible.
Yeah,
it's so good to hear that he's feeling better, and your wife is doing better. And can we ask from a time perspective? In 2016, how old were you again when this occurred?
5 years ago, so 60.
60. So at 40, you were basically resuscitated, brought back to life.
Yeah.
Later on, you had your quadruple bypass.
Yeah, that was 41. Yeah.
41. That followed.
So I lasted 20 years without. The surgeon said I was going to be back in 5 years, and it lasted 20 years without.
He did change all 4 of your vessels though, so there was a little bit of a room for improve for time, because usually if it's only one vessel, it happens much faster because that one vessel blocks up much faster, but you definitely had a nice clear out of all 4 vessels.
I think it's testament to what a good job he did.
He did an amazing job. And so at age 60, you started to have, did you start having angina again and a little bit of comfort? Or?
No. What it was, I started a new job, and I had to go up to Ulverston in Cumbria, where Stan Laurel's from, of Laurel and Hardy, and I had to go on this training course there. And the week before I went, I had what I thought was a cold, and so I went there. I was healthy. I was, back to normal, apart from a cough, and really persistent, annoying cough. And so while I was up there, I was supposed to be there for 8 weeks. I think it was the 2nd or 3rd week. One of the staff said to me, "You should go and see a doctor about this cough. It's not so much, it's disturbing the other students." So I went to see the doctor. She took me blood pressure. Well, my age, I suppose all doctors do it. First thing you do, somebody my age, blood pressure. So she took me blood pressure. It was 240 over 140. And the doctor's, it's only a small place, Ulverston. That doctor's surgery is actually in the hospital. So she wanted to keep me in the hospital, but I convinced her to let me drive home. So I went and got all my stuff from the lodgings and drove home. Phoned my doctors as soon as I got home and got in. And so they put me back on all the medication. And the doctor from Ulverston did phone our doctors to see to see if I'd gone. I said I would go. I said, if you let me drive home, I'll drive home, and I promise you I'll go and see my doctor. And she phoned up to check while I was in the surgery. She phoned up to check I was there. So so it was a load more medication, statins. I forget what they put. Calcium. Was it calcium? No, wasn't calcium. Sunblock, beta blockers, clopidogrel, and something else. A couple of years I can't remember. Time in my life I'd rather forget anyway. But I were on 4 medications then. They didn't help much. My blood pressure went down a bit. My cholesterol, it didn't touch my cholesterol at all, cholesterol level. All I was getting was side effects, like the sleepwalking, bad knees. Like what I did once, I took the leaflets out of the drug packets, and I went through all the possible side effects, and I underlined all the side effects, all the things that I had, and it was about 50% of the possible side effects I had. So I took that to my doctors and I said, this is what's going on. I've got all these. So they changed medications a few times, but the brands, not much help, not much use. The main thing is that they weren't doing anything for me. It's just giving me side effects.
And since changing your diet, now you're off every single one of these medications.
Yeah, I'm off all of them.
From a blood pressure of 240, and by the way, 120 is normal.
Yeah,
240 over 140, you were on medication to now on no medication with normal blood pressure.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
And your cholesterol levels normal.
I take supplements. I take vitamin B12, vitamin D, Q10, and a vegan multivitamin. So It's not sort of, well, I suppose it is for vegans, yeah. It's a vegan multivitamin. It's got everything in pretty much. So, yeah, it all seems to be going okay.
That's incredible. And how long did it take you to get off of your medications?
It was 8 months. November I got off them all. So from March to November.
And no more angina.
No more angina. No.
Amazing. And were you still getting angina before you started the diet, or?
I haven't had angina since I had the bypass surgery.
Oh, good.
Again, credit to that surgeon, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But another amazing thing is that from, having to relearn to do everything and being able to walk, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, gradually building up, you're now, weightlifting, and you're still, training. That's incredible.
Yeah, well, I can't remember where I read it. I read it a long time ago. Weightlifting is good for your blood pressure. You're doing weightlifting, you're building new muscle. Your body's creating new muscle, and that has to fill with blood vessels. So you've got more blood vessels taking your 8 pints of blood, so it reduces the pressure, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I'm doing a sitting down job. I'm a software developer, so I'm sitting on my backside looking at a screen all day. So you need to do something to keep yourself fit. And it's not just walking fitness. You need to do everything. Like I do stretches every morning as well, and to keep everything moving. And
great.
The stretches I do, most of them are an amalgamation of all the physiotherapy I've had over the years for various injuries and things.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, if we look at your lab tests, so we know that your blood pressure was really high even when you were taking your blood pressure tablets. It was really sky high in 200s. And also your cholesterol levels were really quite high. I think yours was 6.5 millimoles per liter for many years. And this was during the time while you were taking your statins as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It wasn't budging through these years. It was like a consistent 6.5, is it?
Once it went down. And what happened was, my wife makes the most incredible cheese and onion pies. They're that big, they just fit in the oven. Massive pies. And I'd taken some to work for my lunch in the morning. I had my cholesterol test in the afternoon. So I took my pie to work for my lunch. And you weren't supposed to eat anything for 12 hours before. So anyway, I forgot all about it and ate some of my cheese and onion pie. And when I had that cholesterol test, it went down to 5.5. The worst thing for you, cheese and onion pie, and your cholesterol went down. That's the only time it ever budged.
But you were on a 12-hour fast, right?
Oh, it's supposed to be, but I forgot. But then
you ate the cheese pie just before your blood test.
Well, I ate it in the morning. Well, because I'm a hungry lad, so I used to. My normal day was I would have my breakfast, I would have a snack at about 10 o'clock, and then I'd have my lunch. So when it got to snack time, and my stomach's growling, I thought, oh, I'll have some of my pie.
Jimmy, did you by any chance took double of your medication to make up for that mistake?
No.
And the next time you had your blood test, it was back to 6.5.
Back to 6.5, yeah.
Right. And so this cholesterol was 6.5, your blood pressure was sky high, and I think your weight was much heavier as well. I think you were around 14.5 stone.
Yeah.
Okay. And once you started cooking differently and you went on this incredible journey with your lovely wife, which is very important that both of you decided to go on it, and both of you have benefited as well. I think the numbers shifted. And how long did it take for these numbers to shift, actually?
For it to come down to 12.5 stone, I think it was something like 6 months.
And
Long.
the cholesterol?
I was losing weight. I was losing weight every week. The cholesterol came down. That was again 6 or 7 months. Yeah, I think about the October they took me off the statins.
And
No.
for our listeners,
We'd come back off that cruise. That was it. We'd been to Norway. We'd come back off the cruise with me doing the sleepwalking, and I went to see my doctor. I saw Dr. Chowdhury, and I told her what had happened, and she took me cholesterol. And then when I went to see her the next week for the results of the cholesterol, she took me off the statins. She said, they're not doing any good. They're just giving you nightmares and having you sleepwalking around cruise ships in your underpants. She says, no, we'll take them off. So
that was the worst side effect, right? That somebody needed to see you in underpants?
No.
Sorry, I'm just cheeky.
Yeah, no, it's I think it was a problem with my knees. Was the worst. I had a problem with my knees. I think that was the worst one.
well, I'm falling asleep at the wheel. That is definitely not safe.
No, that's not. It's
so
frightening.
Your cholesterol went from 6.5 that you had for years on end to 4.1 millimole.
4.1, yeah.
After a few weeks or 6 months of starting on a whole food plant-based diet, and gradually you started losing weight, and from 14.5 stone you lost 2 stone during this short time period. And your blood pressure, I believe, also normalized, and it became 120/80. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. And all of that is after changing your diet, even though you have been always active.
Yep. So it's 100% diet that's done this.
There was also an important thing in your diet as well that we were talking about just before we came on live, was about the salt in your diet.
Right. Yeah. For everybody listening here, I used to work in pharmaceuticals. I used to make creams and shampoos and toothpaste and things like that. And we used to put salt in shampoos to thicken them up. So as the consumer, you get this shampoo, you think you've got this nice gloopy shampoo, it's got lots of detergent in it. No, it's salt that makes it thick. And it doesn't take much salt. I was telling Erica before, we used to make the shampoo in a 3-ton batch. And in that 3-ton batch, we'd put something like 2 kilos of salt. It's less than 1%, but it'd make the shampoo really thick. So you think you're buying a quality shampoo, all you're buying is a bit of salt. It's also the same with the chemicals that go in, but that's another day. But yeah, salt thickens things up. So if you're eating salt in your diet, it's going to thicken your blood up. I didn't put this together. When I was making these things, I should have put this together, but no, nobody else was putting it together anyway, either. So yeah, so salt, definitely drop it, lose it. And at first, like when we first went on this diet, we stopped the salt. Everything we made, we'd sit and question each other. What do you think? And you sat there, oh, it needs salt. Oh, it needs salt, everything. But after a few weeks, you get used to not having salt, and you actually start tasting your food again. Most of what you're tasting, if you're putting salt in your food, most of what you're tasting is salt. You chuck the salt, you're tasting your food. And yeah, if you use salt at the moment, take my advice, ditch it. Get rid.
And as you said, you're just going to start experimenting with this incredible new taste on your palate that you never felt before, because the salt and the trans fats and saturated fats that we get from animal products plus salt completely overtake our taste buds. Yeah.
Well, lunchtime, we had a salad. And people think salads are boring. No. Full of taste. I mean, we have lots of stuff on a salad, but all these different tastes going on. If you're chucking salt on it, all you're tasting is the salt. So yeah, lots of different veg. That's the secret.
And as Neil Bernard says, your taste buds will change within 3 weeks, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. absolutely. And it's the same with sugar. You lose the sugar for them first few weeks, like you're missing the salt. You're also missing the sugar. I used to eat a bar of dark chocolate. See, it's that long since I can't even hardly remember what it's called. I used to eat a bar of dark chocolate a week. And at first, one of the first things you miss, I'm missing the sugar, I'm missing my chocolate. I don't now. Don't miss the salt. Don't miss the sugar. I don't even miss cheese. I used to sit with a block of cheese, and I'd have something like 100 grams of cheese and half a packet of cream crackers while I was watching telly. No wonder my arteries. Now we can look back and think, no wonder my arteries were blocked up. But I don't miss the cheese now.
I mean, cheese was something that I thought was going to be difficult to give up. And to be honest, it wasn't in the end. And now I don't miss it at all. And
correct.
Just like you, I was vegetarian for many years throughout uni. Everybody knew me as the girl who ate pasta and cheese, and like that was all I ate. Sometimes I would just have a bowl of pasta and covered in cheese, and that would be, my dinner. Sometimes with some broccoli in there, but yeah, pasta and cheese was my staples. And although I was a vegetarian, that meant nothing, because the stuff that I was actually putting into my body was still, full of saturated fats and refined flour and all of that. And, you going on your journey from, changing your diet, and your doctors, your GPs have actually seen your improvement.
And one of me, well, it's this 5 or 6 doctors at the clinic, at the surgery, at the health centre. There's 3 of them are sort of regulars, and there's 2 locums generally on site. And the 2 main ones, Doctors Gill and Chowdhury, they're both vegetarian, or they were, until this all happened with me. Till I got off all my tablets, and I've talked to them both about going vegan. Dr. Chowdhury was almost at the point of going vegan. She was seriously considering it. We've had some good chats about it, but I've not had anything wrong with me to go and see her to see if she's gone vegan. So yeah, Dr. Gill, he's a vegetarian. What he does, I was telling Erica before, he cooks lunches for all the staff at the health centre.
I was saying I should go and work there. Where does he work? I'll go work for him.
So yeah, and I talked to him about going vegan, and he's watching. He keeps his eye on things, and yeah.
So it's incredible that you've, through you, your wife has also made the transition into a whole food plant-based diet, got rid of her allergies, and now being able to spend time in your daughter's house rather than only visiting in the summer, sitting outside. You have no more angina, you're off all your tablets, and you're still training, and you're fit, and you've lost that extra weight that you were carrying. You've also educated.
I did lose that
inspired
weight.
Your doctor.
I did lose that weight, but it's creeping back on. Back up to 85 kilo at the moment. I weigh myself every week. 85.7 kilo I was the other day, but it's still lighter than I was. But we are going on a low carb diet now. We started it today, low carb diet. So we've had our salad at lunchtime. Now normally I would have wraps with that. But no carbs. Not no carbs, but cutting out unnecessary carbs. Try and get some of that weight back off. I want to get down to 80 kilo.
And just for our listeners, as you're the expert in your diet and you know what you need to change, we could see you have shown it to us that it's possible. So we would love to hear, what does it actually mean to have a low carb diet while eating a whole food plant-based diet?
It means cutting out what I would call the belly fillers, the thing you eat to fill your belly up, like bread and rice and pasta and these sorts of things that you put with a meal to fill you up. You don't need it. You know, if you're having a good selection of vegetables, like the salad I had at lunchtime, it was a full plate. No bread or anything, no carbs or no unnecessary carbs on there. It was a full plate of salad. And you can, with there's a chili recipe we make. It's really nice, made with aubergines and courgettes. And you don't have any rice with that. The recipe says just eat it as it is, and it's delicious. It's beautiful. So yeah, that's down for one night this week. The only thing I will say on this is chips. Leave the chips alone. We're still going to have chips once a week, but instead we used to have a deep fat fryer, but we don't now. We have an air fryer, so no oil in it at all. So it's the chips are just potatoes. But I know the carbs, but I need me chips. It's only once a week I'm having me chips.
You have to know what makes you happy, and you have to keep with it to keep the quality of life. And when you're talking about carbs a little more, I think it's key to mention lentils and beans. So
yeah.
I love to mix my salads with a big can of lentils and a can of chickpeas. That's one of my new favorites that I have for brunch time.
Yeah.
Do you do that as well?
Yeah, we have. We do our shopping at Asda, and they have these tins of mixed bean salads. So there's like 5-6 different types of beans in there. So we drain them, and then we mix it up. We make a little sauce with whole grain mustard and mint, and we mix that up. Then mix it into the beans, and it just dresses it a bit, and tastes nice. And yeah, and we have that's a 400-gram tin. We have that between us on our salads. So. You know, I think you're supposed to have 80 grams of beans a day. Well, we have way over that. But, you know.
Yeah, I'm definitely over that as well. But I do find whenever I have beans and I remember to cook with it or just add it now to the salads, which is my new easy and tasty dish, and a bit of balsamic vinegar, as Dr. Esselstyn says. I keep the oils off, just a bit of pepper and onions and garlic. And so what I noticed that before I would just have a salad without the beans, and it was lovely, tasty, refreshing, but it didn't give me that wholesome feeling. And certainly when I got a can of each, and I eat both cans, I do a lot. It felt so much better, and I felt fulfilled, and it was more delicious. There was more texture to it, and I didn't have to cut back on the substance that makes it full, but still getting that excellent, healthy benefits from it.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent. Yeah. Something else that's important though is nuts and seeds. If you think about it, nuts are seeds, right? These seeds have got everything in them to grow a whole plant or a tree or something. They're full of nutrients, and we should have them. In fact, you porridge in the morning, it's oats. What is oats? It's the seeds from one of the grass family. That's what oats is. It's a seed, and it's rolled flat. That's all. There's nothing added. It's just rolled flat. That's your porridge. But in that, as well as that, I put sesame seeds in it as well, because something that one of Dr. Gregor's videos I watched the other day said sesame seeds are good for osteoarthritis in your knees. Well, I've recently been diagnosed with that. So yeah, I've started with the sesame seeds in my porridge. We have all sorts of stuff in my porridge. Again, it's getting as much of the goodness as you can. So, right, let me go through it. So it's porridge oats, ground flax seeds, ground almonds, ground Brazil nuts, cacao powder, not cocoa powder, because cocoa powder's got sugar in it, cacao powder, pure cacao powder, amla powder. This is a Indian multivitamin powder, and baobab powder. My Dr. Gill put me onto that. It's full of vitamin C. And then I put frozen blueberries, big spoon of frozen blueberries, and frozen mixed berries. Berries are really good for heart disease if you read How Not to Die. And then it's boiling water, no milk. Boiling water, microwave 3 minutes, big bowl, fabulous. Kickstart your day. But then all day long, then it's all good stuff. And we finish off at night. We have our tea at night. We have fruit for desserts. No cakes, fruits for dessert. And then we have a handful of nuts. So mixed nuts, Brazils, walnuts, almonds, hazelnuts, cashew nuts. I'll say this while we're here on nuts. Brazil nuts lower your cholesterol. Medically proven. This is one of Dr. Gregor's videos. Brazil nuts, one Brazil nut a month will lower your cholesterol. And it's medically proven. It's on the video there. It shows us it's a test, a medical trial done with people. I think there were students, and it reduced the cholesterol. Fantastic things, nuts. Yeah.
And what would you have for dinner then?
But lunch is dinners. We have dinners, right? See, I'm Mancunian, so dinner for us is middle of the day. But dinners, right? So it's tasty things, pasta sauces, curries, Indian and Thai, Mexican food, burritos is one of my favorite. Love burritos. Chilies, all sorts of things. We do a meals list every week, so we know what we got. So we print it off. It's a document we've got. At the top, it's a table of lunches and teas, we call it, lunches and teas all week. And then underneath is the shopping list. And so we put the list up, we write down what we're going to have, and then tick the things off the list that we need to buy. Job done. So yeah, we have a repertoire of something like 50 recipes. I seem to remember seeing on some video somewhere in America, they tend to have a repertoire of something like 20 recipes. We have 20. We have 50-ish. We change them around. The only thing we do have regular on that is the Thai yellow curry. That's every 2 weeks we have that. It's just so good. And the curry paste we have is vegan. So you have to be careful with that. If you're going to make a Thai curry, check the jar, check the ingredients. Some of them are not vegan. In fact, I think the one we get is the only vegan one we've ever found. But it makes such a gorgeous meal.
It does sound delicious. What an incredible story. So inspiring and so empowering. It's incredible. Just blows our mind. And not only from your perspective, but also what it does to our health professional community, our colleagues, your doctors in your GP practice who are hearing your story and reconsidering how they are treating. And that's what we are hoping to achieve here in Afternoon Tea, to just inform and educate and see how it resonates with people and encourage them to dig deeper and don't take information, as we have too much of it anyways all over, but don't take it for granted and find your own truth and see what is the evidence rather than having biases, preformed biases. And it can save a life, just like you just showed.
Well, I've just read something today on a news item. There's a cafe in Bournemouth, in Dorset, and it's a vegan cafe, and he's just redecorated it all. And on the wall, he's got statistics about a whole food plant-based diet, and what effects they have on you. And his local council are making him redecorate because they're saying it's not true, and he's shown them the documents to show that they're true. They're making him change it.
Sorry, where is this?
Bournemouth. Well,
I think we need to speak to this coffee shop and the council here. This unfortunately, a lot of people in professional settings don't know how to read evidence, and this can, of course, interfere because there's a lot of cultural things behind it, and they're trying to, optimize according to culture locally. But I think it's very important to teach and educate how to read evidence, and maybe they would be open to actually learning how to do that.
And if his brother's a butcher, so that's all it takes. Oh yeah, I can't have my brother going out of business.
Yes, there's a lot of that as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought at the time we need a campaign for this. We need a campaign to sort this out.
Very interesting. It does bring in all those, well, emotions, political, monetary, cultural, ethical, which are really difficult to navigate, and that's the honest. But certainly from a health point of view, we can see what it can do, and that is our job as healthcare professionals to highlight and educate, and then people can make their own truths according to that.
Well, take the British Heart Foundation. We know, everybody here knows, there's loads of evidence that a whole food plant-based diet can beat heart disease. The British Heart Foundation has so-called healthy recipes, loads of them. They've got animal products on them. And it's, how do we get through? How do we get through to them? I mean, I've even put it on the website. I mean, I've been a member of British Heart Foundation for donkey's years. I represented them on telly. Before I had, just a few weeks before I had my bypass surgery, I was on telly representing British Heart Foundation. That's how long ago it is. And I've put it on messages on their website of what I've been through and what's happened. Still, they put in they're saying put these healthy recipes, have meat in them. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us.
We do, but as long as we bring it with a positive spirit and hope, and the patients start demanding it, then nobody will be able to beg.
Well, one thing I like that they're doing with the plant-based health professionals have got this campaign to encourage the health service to go vegan. So we know that animal product meals are not healthy, and yet hospitals trying to cure people are giving them unhealthy food. So plant-based health professionals got a campaign going to convert the hospitals to vegan, and if we can do that, that'll be fantastic.
There was just a comment which is important to clarify, that Tara mentioned, why vegan, not whole food, plant-based foods.
Well, yeah, vegan's a start.
I think it's dependent on where you're at and just how you use the term, but from a health point of view, we are talking about a whole food plant-based diet, which if somebody is on it and also has the ethical views about cruelty and saving the planet, then it covers that view very nicely. But certainly it is a whole food plant-based diet that we are promoting from a health perspective.
Absolutely. Like I said, my eldest daughter went vegan before we did, but she admits to being a junk food vegan. So she was going to the supermarket and buying vegan sausage this, vegan burger that, and nah, it wasn't working for her. So like I say, now she's gone whole food plant-based, and she's saying
it was her son who was having problems, even though she was on a vegan diet, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then she was educated in the importance of real foods that are high in fiber, colorful, real food that actually looks like it was grown in the garden.
Yeah.
And we often say you can be a vegan and eat Oreo cookies and Coca-Cola, but unfortunately that doesn't support your health.
Correct.
Just like if you eat a lot of animal-based products.
Yeah, it's bourbon biscuits for me. Bourbon biscuits are vegan.
There are some processed foods that we can't say no to, for sure.
Yeah, and but my wife won't buy. My wife does the shopping. She's keeping me in the house because because of COVID. So she does the shopping and she won't buy me any bourbon biscuits.
This is why families are so important.
Keep you on the straight with love and encouragement. What an incredible story, and thank you so much for sharing it. If you don't mind, I just want to finish it by showing, and before we go off into our nice little conversations off camera, just showing a little quote just to bring this together from Dean Ornish, who is one of the founding fathers
Dean Ornish, yeah.
lifestyle medicine. And if I just share my screen. So this is Dr. Dean Ornish, and he says, think about it. Heart disease and diabetes, which account for more deaths in the US and worldwide than everything else combined, are completely preventable by making comprehensive lifestyle changes without drugs or surgery.
Absolutely.
There is something to think about for all of us.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. Of course, drugs and surgery does save lives, as it was portrayed today in your amazing story, where you got a second chance to make those lifestyle changes, but not changing your lifestyle will lead down the same path as where you had to be resuscitated. So it's such a blessing to hear that you're with us, you're well, you're thriving, and
there's this one, the talk you had last week. What was he called again, Erica?
With Dr. Hans Steele.
Yeah. One of the statistics he came out with was that Dr. Esseltyn had this study of, I think it was 120 people who were at death's door, basically, and he got them all on a whole food plant-based diet, and some dropped out. And nobody who stayed with the diet had any cardiac issues for the 12 years of the study. Nobody of the people who stayed with it, and all the people who dropped out had cardiac events. It's that powerful a message.
It's hard to hear this, I can imagine, as a patient, because I was one as well. But in your case, it's life and death. To know that if you didn't hear about this message, unfortunately, you might not be here with us.
Absolutely, yeah.
That must be really hard to face on a daily basis. And it must create a lot of emotions that are, well, not very pleasant to think of. But also there's so much hope and positivity in the changes that you have done. So it's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
I don't think about it. Anybody can have a stroke or a heart attack at any time. We can all right. My chances of it happening to me are greater than most other people because of previous history. So it can happen. I don't think about it. I get on with my life. I've got 2 fantastic daughters. I've got 4 brilliant grandchildren. I want to be with them as much as I can. So from here on in, I'm going to look after myself. I'm going to keep up to date with what Dr. Gregor's finding and plant-based health professionals, you guys, whatever you're finding out, keep up to date with it and keep myself healthy as long as possible to be with them. I want to see me grandchildren. My grandchildren are fantastic kids. I want to see them grow up and see what they turn into, see what jobs they do or where they go. I mean, our eldest granddaughter, Amy, is watching this program on the telly by the Doctors Van Tolliken, the twin brothers, and they're always on telly over here. And she's watching a program by them about healthy food. And she's already talked to her mum about going vegan. And, if she does, fantastic. At the moment, I don't think her dad will let her, but at some point, she's going to be able to make her own mind up, and she'll probably do it. And hopefully she'll come and talk to us when she wants to make the leap. On
YouTube, actually, Latif is asking if you had to stop drinking caffeine and tea to come to this Amazing transformation.
A long time ago, I stopped drinking anything with caffeine in. 2016, I think, when my blood pressure was so high, my doctor said stop having anything with caffeine in because it's speeding your heart up and you don't need that. So yeah, I did ditch the caffeine.
And Latif, from Dr. Hasselstein's point of view, he does suggest to stop drinking caffeinated drinks and coffee, especially, and tea. But of course, it depends on the lifestyle change dose that you want and need. If you have had a quadruple bypass and you want to make those changes, you will need to have a much higher dose of lifestyle changes to accommodate your healing. But if you have been healthy, you don't have these conditions, and you are on a whole food, healthy, plant-based diet, drink a lot of water, a tea here or there, is not going to make that much of a difference, I would say.
No. But we all know people who smoke like factory chimneys, drank like fish, eaten all the wrong foods, and lived into the 90s. Unfortunately, what it comes down to, we're all different. We're all individuals. Our bodies are all slightly different. We're all built to the same pattern, right? We're all built to the same design, but we have our own little differences. And my difference is my body is susceptible to heart disease. Some people aren't. So some people don't have to make these changes, although I suggest everybody goes whole food plant-based for the sake of the planet. Some people don't have to make the changes to save their lives, but you can do it to make yourselves healthier. And yeah, to save the planet. You know, that's one of the things that's coming out of it. A lot of the films I've been watching. Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy. 2 incredible films to watch, and cement ideas. And you know, if you're thinking about going whole food plant based, watch one of them, and it'll cement your ideas and make you think, yeah, I'm going to do that. Well, obviously the big one is forks over knives. That changed our lives. That. Yeah.
What a super inspiring story. And also it has many other angles to it from a planetary health point of view. One can definitely explore. And once you understand that from a health point of view, you don't need to consume these animal products, and particularly a processed diet that is so rampant in the Western world, then maybe you will be ready to look at the more empathic, a larger picture at the planet that we live on, and that is so crucial to our life. So certainly food for thought, and we would love to thank you, Jimmy, for this incredible session. And before we move on to our informal group consultation part of Afternoon Tea, for those who have joined us here on Zoom, would you inspire our guests with 3 actionable and practical takeaways that they can implement right away to take control of their overall health?
I've got 3 lessons. Well, there's 4 lessons I've learned from this journey. And lesson 1 is keeping physically fit won't stop your heart arteries blocking up. Lesson 2, vegetarianism won't stop your heart arteries blocking up. Lesson 3, this is from when I was up in Ulverston. When blood isn't flowing to your brain properly, you can't think straight. So having your carotid arteries blocked stops the blood getting to your brain. It's still getting, some of it's still getting there, but you're not at 100%. And lesson 4, if you have any serious illness, try a whole food plant-based diet. Of course, you should see your doctor as well. Is that okay?
Fantastic. Any of your wisdom is greatly appreciated. And we really appreciate your time as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
What an incredible story.
And next, next week, next Sunday, it's July next week. So, and the theme at Afternoon Tea for July is on cancer. And we have the founder of Plant-Based Health Professionals, Dr. Shireen Kassam, join us to talk about cancer prevention and also the role of diet and lifestyle after a cancer diagnosis. So do stay in touch. The tickets, as always, are available through the website, and they're always for free. And so do stay connected with us on social media, say hello on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll pop the links in the chat for those of you who haven't, who are new to us.
And we're doing Christmas next weekend.
Oh, wow. Christmas in July.
Yeah. Normally, Christmas Day, we all the family get together. It's a fantastic day, and we couldn't do it last Christmas. So, with them saying we're coming out of lockdown in June, we thought, right. My eldest daughter says, "All right, let's do Christmas. We'll do it in July, so we've got a bit of a period where you can communicate again. So we'll do it in July, but it's creeping up. So next week, it's our Christmas. We're doing Christmas 0.5.
Happy Christmas to the Quinn family.
As well as, it's always good to keep the magic alive. We need more of that than ever before right now during these difficult times. And if you guys are inspired and would like to take control of your health, become a free ATWD member to continue this conversation and to join the supportive community helping you implement the healthful lifestyle changes you want that will help you live a long and fulfilling life. Please comment in the chat if you're on YouTube, and share your feedback and your thoughts today. And for those of you watching on any of our other channels, do let us know what your thoughts are and what we can improve and what would you like to hear about in the future. So now we're going to stop recording and go off to our informal chat. Thank you very much.